Hello everyone, All Ohio Railfan here. Throughout this channel's entire duration, I've never really had a reason to make a video like this, but considering how much has changed over the past couple of years, I thought it would make sense to reach out to you guys and explain where my channel has been and where it's going for the future. Just to clear things up for you guys, the three main topics that I'm going to be discussing with you today falls under one category: the content that I produce for this channel. The first topic we are going to be looking at today is the aspect of adding narration to my content. This simple act of adding my voice explaining what is happening in my videos is what mainly gave this channel's first sense of traction. The inspiration behind adding narration in the first place mainly came from my very small but incredibly endearing friend group, in addition to some other resources across YouTube. What made this concept work as well as it did back in the day was the fact that I actually did not use a script. The reasoning behind this was because I wanted to make my narration feel raw and genuine, like you can hear the emotions in my voice as I am explaining what is happening in the video. For many years, this was a formula that did my channel very well. Although with this past year, I've kind of sensed that this formula has sort of lost its spark. The main reasoning behind this is because my mobility has increased, but also decreased at the same time. For those that might be confused by this statement, I no longer have to rely on someone else to provide me with the transportation that I need nearly as much. I can provide my own transportation, but at the same time, I can only go so far, so that is the reason why most of the videos that I've made over the past 5 or 6 months, I've mainly been going to the same places over and over again that have been tried and true, and that also provides me with good shots for you guys as well, in addition to myself. This sense of a limited reach is also reflected in my narration, as most of it is pretty much the same as you transition from one catch to the next in my railfanning videos, and it's definitely something that's become more noticeable as time went on. That being said, most of the railfanning content that I'll be making into the foreseeable future, or at the very least until I can get my reach back, it's mainly going to reflect some of the videos that I've made in 2023 that did not include narration. The videos that I've made in 2023 that did not include narration basically just displayed the basic information that I would be discussing otherwise if narration was included in the video. And I'm using a style that works really well for me, which makes the videos interesting to make, and for you guys, interesting to watch. Even though this business model is used by countless other train-oriented content creators here on YouTube, the way that I add the information that I need through text still gives it an identity of its own and gives it a sense of individuality that I can provide. However, this does not mean that narrated videos are going away entirely. I'll still be saving narrated content for much bigger projects, like for example when I go on a trip with my friends and family, because I think this is where it makes sense the most. Moving right along, in addition to changing the style of content that I produce, I would also like to try expanding the type of content that I produce. You've already seen this shift when I posted my review video of my Scale Train C39-8, but in addition to expanding the train's content that I post on this channel, I would also like to try making videos on a couple other things as well. This was also a concept that was displayed on this channel during its early years, as in addition to making train-oriented videos, I also tried making videos that basically focused on motorsports, like for example truck and tractor pulls, as those are really fun to watch. That being said, I do want to bring motorsports-oriented content back on the channel, and even then expanding on that as well. Not just doing videos of truck and tractor pulls, but maybe delving into some Monster Jam content as well, as that is also another interest of mine that has resurfaced recently. Expanding in what you can consider an untouched market can bring a new fanbase to the channel, but the primary reason why I'm even considering this in the first place is because I would like to showcase more of my other interests, even though trains are the most prevalent one. Showing most of your interests can also show more of you as a person as well. Now, if and when you do start seeing content like this being featured on this channel, don't expect to have an entire show be the main focal point of a video, because real talk here, the best shots that I get of anything that's featured on this channel are seen with my eyes. The screen exists for me to see it later. I'm mainly there for the experience. Alongside my own thoughts and feelings of a direction that this channel could potentially take here this year, I would like to hear your guys' opinion on this direction as well, so feel free to leave a comment down below and we can get some good old-fashioned discussion going from there. The last thing we're going to look at today is probably one of the most important topics that I would like to discuss, and probably the one that you guys are looking to hear an answer for the most. I've been asked this question a number of times over the past couple years, so now I think it's actually a good time to address it. What happened to my train series, Tales from the Norfolk Southern Railroad? While I was working on the next series of episodes that had anticipated releases throughout 2022, it was also during a time where a lot of personal hardships fell upon me, and no, I'm not going to get into them on here because A, it's personal, and B, it really isn't necessary to discuss these kinds of things on this platform anyway. Anyways, 2022 just proved to be a really crazy year for me, especially with the latter half of the year. Things got so crazy for me, I just needed to take a step back because my mental health was not in the right place at that time, and I just needed some time to myself and tried to get back on my feet. To put this in perspective for you guys in a way that makes sense, while all these things were happening, my motivation just completely disappeared because I just needed the time to myself, and it took a couple months for me to get my motivation back. When I eventually did get my motivation back and was feeling like I was getting back on my feet as I was coming into 2023, I looked back at the series and where it was standing at that time, and while it's the most popular content on this channel to date, I really didn't feel like it was aging nearly as well as it could. The series itself really didn't have an identity of its own as opposed to the source material that it was inspired by. It was also due to the fact that some of the more existential and more serious themes that it was going to look at were not taken seriously, at all. That being said, I reached out to one of my closest friends who has a lot more experience in writing stories like this. After having them look at the stories I was writing and having some constructive criticism given to me in regards to the changes I was making, the new direction that's currently under development for the show I think is going to be much better. It'll give the cast the development that they deserve, in addition to getting the series as a whole closer to the initial vision I had for it when I started making these in the first place. With that previous statement basically telling you guys I'm doing a page 1 rewrite on the series, then comes the question, hey, when is it going to start back up? I have a plan in mind in terms of when I'm going to start working on the series again, but even then, with changes being hinted at the location where I filmed the series, the Model Railroad Club, things can be subjected to change very quickly, but even then, spending a decent amount of time writing and planning these things can lead to great storytelling, and that's a good thing. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about with you guys. If making videos for this long has taught me anything, I'm just basically making the content that I enjoy making. As a quote from Amtrak Guy 365 says, "Don't let professionalism take the fun out of making something." And that's the code that I've been under from the start, and that's the advice that everyone else is giving me as well. And it's also good advice for people that are just starting out, or people that have been doing this for a number of years and want to refine their skills. Alongside that, even though it sounds repetitive and maybe a little cliche, but I really, truly enjoy the fact that you guys like the content that I produce. I mean, heck, we just passed the 400 subscriber mark, so thank you for that. With this newfound perspective, I'm genuinely excited to see what 2024 has in store for me, in addition for the content on this channel. If you enjoyed my content, consider checking out some other ones of mine. Leave a like or a comment down below to share your thoughts. Subscribe if you're new, and tap the notifications bell to be notified when a new video gets posted here on the channel. Till next time, this is All Ohio Railfan, signing off.